What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. No, what's today? Thursday, November 13th. We are doing a live Ask Me Anything session today. I'm very excited, as always, to do these with you because we get a lot of great questions, a lot of great feedback, a lot of great thoughts, and some feature requests usually from all of you folks who've been here with us for a while. Some of you have been for a little while. I want to start off how we do all of these, which is by asking you all to find the questions tab on the bottom. I'm going to say this side. I don't know. Maybe it's on this side. Not quite sure. It's a question mark inside of a circle. I'd like you to find that and type something in there to let me know you are here. I'd also like you to tell me one win, something positive that's happened in your web design business, your agency, since the last time you were on one of these. And if you haven't been on one of these, I want to hear one positive thing that's happened since you joined SiteSwan. It could be the fact that you're starting to consume some training videos, the fact that you started the 14-day launch plan, the fact you've got a prospect, a lead, a sale, multiple sales. I don't know. Let me hear it in the questions tab. That's how we're going to kick things off today. I have a couple of wins for you guys. We have released a couple of new features, which I'm going to try and showcase today in our session, which I think you all will probably find some use out of. So I'm going to save my win, I guess you could say, for when I'm going to show you the actual details on that. All right, Valerie, good afternoon to you, Valerie. We are going to get to all of the questions. I just want to hear some wins to start things off. Jamie has 3 demos in the works this week. Wow, Jamie, very, very impressive. Congratulations on that. Joe is here and just starting the 14-day launch plan. That's great. The other Joe is here. I guess that's your win, Joe. The fact that you're here. Mike has sold 5 websites in the past 4 weeks or so. A nail salon, a senior home care business, his local gym, a hardscaping company in a completely different part of the country, and a Montessori preschool, along with some warm leads as well. That is awesome. That's a very productive month, I would say. Kevin closed 2 sites this week. Very nicely done. Michael has found 2 people who want demos. Michael's finally launched on Facebook and has presented for the first time. Now, presented, do you mean that you've showed off a website design to someone? Is that what you mean by presented, Michael? Carrie says, I'm here, I'm new, and just got my marketing website live, and my Stripe just got connected. That's fantastic, Carrie. Congratulations. Getting that marketing site live is a very, very, very big thing for a lot of people because it's legitimizing what you're doing right now, and it's putting your best foot forward. Okay, Jeffrey says, Brianna, aka best trainer ever, keeps me grounded and going, especially when feeling a bit down that it hasn't gone faster. Well, Jeffrey, I appreciate that. And you know what? Usually, Brianna is on these helping us along, and I don't see her on yet. So I am going to tag her and say, Brianna, you are missing out on people complimenting you. Get in here so you can receive your own compliments. All right. Thank you for that. I do appreciate the kind words. I will make sure that Brianna sees them. She is the best. Christy says, a client we've been talking to for months is moving forward with the new site, and we had a potential client reach out on our contact form on our website too. Those are great. Getting leads coming through your website are awesome. Joe's got leads in the pipeline. Henry closed his first daycare center and added reputation management for a total of $150 per month. And because of that, he's now called on other daycare centers and has 5 demo sites to complete this week. That is great, Henry. When you find an opportunity, why not try to expand in that niche into perhaps neighboring markets, other markets, and see how much you can, how far you can take it. Because once you've sold a website to a business in an industry, you tend to know and understand that business a little bit better, marginally better. And that can definitely, the client can definitely feel that when you're talking to them. And Michael was clarifying when he said presented for the first time, he was in fact referring to a website homepage presentation, which is part of the training program. If you guys are not currently actively involved in the training program, I want to point your attention to lesson number 9, which is how to present a website demo to a prospect. This is the only way I would like you to be presenting websites to your clients, is by following the framework in this video. I promise you, it works. It works extremely well. It is the best way to do it. Do not just text a link to the site. Do not think that your way is better until you have proven it. Okay? Thank you. Appreciate it. Now, let's get into some questions. So, a lot of you, let me just see something. How, a lot of you have submitted questions ahead of time. Before I get into those questions, I just want to point out something you're seeing on my screen here, which is probably new to you. If you haven't seen it already, this little option down here to book a coaching call is now here because we want all of you to make sure that you have very easy access to Brianna, who just got a compliment earlier, who will be assigned as your customer success advisor. And she's in charge of making sure that you have every possible chance of finding success with our 14-day launch plan, answering any and all questions you have. You can schedule one-on-one time with her. And she is a very, very well-versed member of our team, because not only did she go through the 14-day launch plan herself, but she also sold multiple sites in her first 14 days and is continuing to grow as well. So do not skip on the opportunity to have a one-on-one sit down with a teammate, because I promise you, you will walk away with something better than how you started. Now, let's get into our questions. So some of you were nice enough to submit questions ahead of time, which I really, really, really appreciate, because it allows us to be able to spend a little bit of time getting proper answers to the questions when necessary, and can make sure that we have allotted enough time for everything. So I'm going to start at the top. Some of these questions, I'll be honest, they might have been better sent to support. I'm just going to say that, but I'm still happy to go through them and see what I could do to help talk you through them, because that's why we're here. So the first one is from Tracy. I'm not sure if Tracy's here or not, but Tracy said she needs some product store help with shipping. And this is where I cringe. This is right about where I cringe. Because, as I'm sure you all know, once we start talking about e-commerce and buying stuff online, things get hairy really quickly, and it's difficult to recover from it. So Tracy offered us to show the site that she's working on, which looks great. This is about indulging in fudge that is all for a cause. So there's a give back pledge associated with buying any fudge. I encourage any of you, if you like fudge, to by all means find something you like on this site and make a purchase. But I think the question is revolving around the shopping experience, because she's saying that the problem, it's a cancer fundraiser. She does local deliveries, and the shipping was $10. But let me just see if I got this right. But it's per item. So then 2 things of fudge would become $20. So $10 each. So if someone wants 4 pounds of fudge, it's $40 in shipping, but she can't add that to the total because she does local delivery also. And it's unfair for locals to pay an upcharge of $10 for shipping if they don't need it actually shipped. So I could understand why this would be a problem. So here is what, well, actually, it looks like she might have already done this. And this is what I was going to actually say, is that you actually add a product called shipping that people can select and add it to their cart if they're looking to get something shipped. There we go. So that looks like that's what she did. So when you add stuff, okay, which is pretty cool, because you can select the option, how much are you getting, and then you can add it to the cart. She had shipping attached to each product, which ended up resulting in an inflated shipping amount. So what she did was actually the right choice, in my opinion. Now you can just add delivery on to any of the orders, and then you can get either local delivery or shipping. Booyah, she did it. All right, then we need my help, Tracy. Tracy didn't even need to wait for this. She's like, I can figure this out on my own. Or maybe she went to support and got the answer. I don't know. But either way, she did the right thing. Moral of the story, folks, there's almost never a truly simple e-commerce client. They will almost always want more. And especially when a site whose sole purpose it appears to be to get people to place orders online. I always say, SiteSwan's great for small business websites, simple informational lead generating websites. That's the core of what we do. Once you start getting into sites whose sole purpose is to sell stuff online, it's technically e-commerce. And when I hear that, I generally push people to, a true e-commerce solution, which is primarily designed for that. Now, what's cool is you can still sell the client a site. Like you can still have a site that talks about all about Fudgelicious, all about the cause, all about everything they do, and then have a link order online. Instead of it going to a page on the site, I would actually make it an off-site link. I'm not sure if you guys know how to do this, but I'll just quickly show you. From your navigation, you can link off-site to a third-party solution like e-commerce. So all I have to do is go to manage pages. And then instead of add a page, I'm going to go over here to add an off-site link. So I can make this say shop online. And then it's actually going to go to a third-party service that is responsible for the online store. So this is a way for you to be able to have a core site and then an option for people to buy that's technically not driven by and powered by SiteSwan. Okay. So let me just bump this over here and you'll see the shop online appears here. And it's an off-site link. It's not actually a page on the site. All right. That is something you can do if you ever needed to. I've also seen a lot of boutiques do this with like clothing, stationery stores, things like that, where they'll say, here's our store, come on in, here's everything you can find. Oh, and by the way, if you're looking to purchase something, then go ahead and shop online, which is a separate experience. All right. Good question. Next up is Michael. Michael, I know, is here. And he says, if I'm building a website for a realtor, do we need to manually add each of their listings, or can the tool pull all the listings into the site? So let me dissect that question a little bit further. A typical realtor, and we're talking about an individual agent, I'm assuming, because agents are the ones you're probably going to have the most luck selling a site to. They're looking for personal branding. They're looking to build up their personal connections and referrals and things like that. So they'll start get a website built that is specifically just all about them. I mean, they'll mention that they're working for Century 21 or for KW Home, whatever it is, but ultimately this website's about them. So if I search for realtor, you're going to see that we have licensed realtor right here, which is actually a really great solution for an individual realtor. Now, on this site, you're going to see opportunities for listings to appear. And now look, a typical agent, okay, a typical agent is not generally going to get a ton of new listings every month. It's not going to be a ton. Will it be one or two? Maybe. But generally speaking, they don't get that many new listings that are solely 100% theirs. The organization that they work for might have a bunch of listings, but generally speaking, those are not their listings per se. Now, it's difficult to be able to create a site that's going to compete with like a Zillow or a Trulia or something like that. These sites that you build for realtors are going to specifically about building up their personal brand. And when you're adding listings on a one-off basis, it's not that much work. You're talking about a photo, some details, copying and pasting some text, and you're good to go. However, if the client is demanding that they want to have access to the entire, inventory of homes in and around their area or the MLS listings, the good news is that most MLSs, which is short for multiple listing service, I'm going to get a little technical with some limited knowledge I have about realtors and realty. So there's a multiple listing service, MLS, for almost every single town, city, everywhere in the US. So you have to find the MLS that they're affiliated with. Now, they should have a login for their MLS. They should automatically have that the moment they become a realtor. And with that login, they'll be able to log in and create a feed, which is basically a website widget that would get that can get added to their site that would feature all the listings for their entire brokerage. Now, The way you would add that is you would actually go to the site and pretend for a moment this is our realtor site. Find a good spot where you might want it, or you create a new page that says local inventory or homes for sale. And then on that page, you're going to add a section and you're going to find the HTML option. And you're just simply going to copy and paste whatever HTML that you got from their MLS, and it'll bring the feed right in here. So you can name this MLS feed. You're going to select all of this, delete it, and replace it with whatever you got from the MLS. And now it's going to bring in the entire feed. And it should work pretty much out of the box. I don't really feel like a lot of realtors are going to need or even want this because it's all about them. But if someone's adamant about it, this is a great way to do it. If you need help understanding how to go about that, you could reach out to our support. We obviously can't really, assist you with your client's MLS login stuff. I mean, we can try, but generally when it comes off of our platform, it's a little bit difficult outside of domain names to really start logging in and lending a hand, but we'll do everything we can. Okay. You also asked Michael if we can set up virtual tours on a realtor's website. So virtual tours are usually just another widget, another copy paste of code, or it's a video file. Either case, that would work quite well by just copying and pasting code into an HTML post, and you're done. Michael goes on to say, when working with motels or bed and breakfasts, can the site allow for the user to make a reservation directly from the website? So there are about 1 billion different solutions on the web for privately owned mom and pop B&Bs and motels softwares that they can very easily integrate into their operations so that people can book online. You could seriously just do a Google search for online booking motel, online booking Airbnb, online booking bed and breakfast, and you are going to find a slew of options. Find one that, work with your client to maybe find one that makes sense for them in terms of what their needs are, how many rooms they have, things like that. And then that company is going to give you a little booking widget that, again, you can use the HTML post to copy and paste onto the site. Or there's a completely separate experience for doing the booking, which I even see on Marriott's website and other sites. Like a lot of people do this. They'll say book online, very similar to the shopping example we gave, and it takes you into that booking experience, which is technically on a different URL. So same thing, we'd have on the navigation, book online, click it, takes you off-site to this other service provider that's offering a step-by-step solution to book online, and then when it's done, it reverts you back to the site. So that would be a no-code option, just copying and pasting a link. Michael also says, I launched my business on Facebook on Valentine's Day, and one referral says they have at least 10 people who want websites, but they're all e-commerce. Ugh. Should I refer them to Shopify? How do you suggest I proceed? Again, if the full purpose of the site is e-commerce, it's up to you who you want to refer them to. I probably would say, hey, have you checked out a solution like Shopify? A lot of people who say they want to start an e-commerce site never actually will, because once they get face to face with the stuff they have to come up with in order to effectively put their information online so they can sell stuff is really a lot. So yeah, you could definitely do that, but try and dig a little deeper and say, hey, are any of these opportunities where an informational lead generating website would actually be a good kind of starting point for them? And then after, down the line, once they've proven that there's interest in this, whatever, this business, this thing that they have, then you can introduce an e-commerce component, which of course would require that they have an online buying solution set up. I'm hesitant to say this, but maybe at some point down the future, you're going to become a Shopify expert. I don't know. And you're going to sell them a Shopify site. I don't know. But if you were in a realm of possibilities, then maybe starting them off with something basic without e-commerce and introducing it later once it's a proven interest, you can certainly go about that. I generally like to do that. Like if you're looking to sell stuff online, like, hey, how about we just put this information on? Let's see if people actually care about it first. And then when people are asking you, hey, how come you don't sell this online? Then you can justify making the investment to do e-commerce. Michael also says, do you have any themed podcast? I'm sorry, you have a themed podcast template, but could you create a sports podcast themed template? Well, Michael, we could. And if you wanted to, you could actually prioritize that. So I'm not sure if you guys know this. I do say this every week pretty much, but just to reiterate, our themes come directly from you guys telling us which businesses you feel like you have opportunities to sell to. So almost every one of the last 40 or 50 themes that we have been paid by people like you. They've been paid for. That means for $99, you tell us which theme you want created, and in less than a week, we'll have a fully developed, beautiful looking, 100% optimized for this industry theme that will be right here on this page that you can customize for any prospects you have in that realm. So if you don't feel comfortable modifying our existing podcast theme to be sports related, then I'd recommend that you go to the support center, which you'll access it from up here, help center, and then submit a request and let us know you want to purchase a theme design. It's 99 bucks. We're going to verify that with you. Go to town on it, and you'll have a really dynamite looking site. If you want to give us some feedback or some input about what this particular client wants, just to make sure we nail it, you certainly can do that as well. All right. I see you guys are posting questions. I love it. I am going to plow through the ones here so I can get to those as well. Mike says, I sometimes hear in the web design space the term backups. I guess meaning website backups, but we're asked this question by a leader or client. What's our answer regarding backups? So the way SiteSwan works is we have what's called a triple redundancy. So we have servers across the entire United States, and we back up daily, everything. So if God forbid something went terribly wrong, we'd be able to revert to the version of our platform and the site earlier that day. Now, we don't have individual backups, meaning like if you screwed something up on your client's website, you're like, guys, I need you to revert to the version of the site that was earlier today. Like, can't do that. That's not a service that we actively provide. But if something does, God forbid, go horribly wrong, we have daily backups in place. So you're going to be just fine. Don't you worry. Mike also says, if I remember correctly, some time ago, there was mention of a feature to allow us to add 2 or more photos in a fancy collage. And he's showing us an example, which I'll pull up for you. I really like this. So what Mike did here is he actually went into Canva and he created this 2-in-1 image right here. So he's got 2 images together. This is actually one image, okay? It's actually one image with a transparent background. If you guys are not familiar with this concept, it's a transparent background. So the background comes right where the white would be. Super easy to do in a program like Canva, which is free, I think, to do stuff like this. And yeah, we don't have this functionality built in at the moment, but it is something, you're absolutely right, is on the horizon and on our wish list because we love this kind of stuff. We've even done this on a couple of excuse me, on a couple of themes. We sort of cheated and did something like this because we really like the design. Like, we should justify doing this, building into the platform. All right, Carrie says, does my SiteSwan account come loaded with a marketing account? Yes, and Carrie, I think you submitted a note as your win that you launched your site. So I would say that you've already solved this, if I'm not mistaken. But guys, if you ever run into a situation where you're like, my marketing site, I don't know if I think I messed it up, or I want to start over, or I change my name, or whatever else, look, it's right here, okay? Just find the web designer theme and create a site using this theme. You could put in your business, your information, all this stuff, and you have a fresh new marketing site ready to go. Carrie also says, I feel like these sites are very regional. They make frequent mention of the geographic component of where we're operating in. But if I wanted a broader audience, maybe further away in other states, are there marketing website templates that don't necessarily identify my exact location? So Carrie, that's exactly what you don't want to do. So in the web design world, what really matters to businesses is that they can work with someone who's local and understands them. And it's also a really great way to validate your existence is by showing your physical location and where you're located and who you're serving locally. If you want any shot in the world at being found in actual Google searches for web designer near me, or I need a website for my business and stuff like that, your absolute best bet is going to be sure that your city, your state, your zip code, your physical address is featured on your site, because Google is smart and they like to know that people want to work with businesses close to them first. So they're always going to deliver results for businesses that are physically closer to them than those who are far away. Same thing if I'm a carpet cleaner. If I'm a carpet cleaner, Google knows that I'm much better off servicing people in a relatively small radius close to me. The jobs are more profitable. It's easy for me to get there on time. And I know the area, and I've got referrals and that sort of stuff. So they're always going to try to push people to businesses that are physically located very close by to them for Google search. I do not recommend trying to win over the entire country with your marketing website, because you're just going to appeal to nobody then. Jeffrey says, until your client's website shows up in the Google stack, how can you show it? How can you show that it is doing what you advertised it would do, like bringing more clients? Granted, you need to make sure the basic optimization is done, of course. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jeffrey. Um, Appearing in the Google stack goes far beyond just what the website's doing for them. And this is one of the things that I actually had a conversation with Bill. If you guys haven't seen my first video with Bill, I'd like you to take a look at this video. We just launched it 3 days ago. And this video is great because he goes into a discussion about he will not take a client on unless he can get access to their Google business profile. So here was the first conversation with Bill, where he was at $6,200 a month. And now he's up at $16,000 a month. And he wanted to tell how he got there and some of the things that enabled him to do so. And one of those is that he's like, no, if you don't have a Google business profile, and if you can't grant me access to it, I don't want to do business with you. Because he's come to realize that that's actually an accelerator. Like, you can really start to get phenomenal results if you can take control of that. And when you can, not only can you, of course, help them get better results, but you can also charge them more and just do more. So, and by the way, for anyone who doesn't know exactly what we're talking about here, when we say Google Stack, we're referring to this, which is the businesses that immediately appear. Sorry, no, it's actually technically. Let me just show you. Excuse me. Let me try a physical location business. So here we go. The Google Stack is considered the Google Places or Google Maps listings. And these are, being clearly featured as the top 3, right? So the only way to effectively get into the top 3 is by keeping the Google business profile optimized. So it means good photos, good content, reviews, all that sort of stuff to optimize. Now, over time, if the website does really well and there is a Google business profile already in existence for this client, then over time, the site is going to eventually be able to graduate up to be able to feature one of the places. But if you want instant gratification and getting up into these top 3, the only way to do that is to gain access to Google Business Profile or encourage them to do it and get really, really aggressive and consistent with posting and taking action and getting reviews and that kind of stuff. We do have a resource on setting up a Google Business Profile for our client if you don't already have one, and I'll show it to you. It's in the resources section of our dashboard. So just go to resources, and I want you to scroll down to the, let's see, is it over here? Here it is. Google Business Profile Setup and Optimization Guide. It's right here, okay? It's in the Sales and Marketing Materials section right here. Download that. You'll get some more info on how to do that. Amika says, how do websites get promoted to Bing search engine as well? A client's website doesn't show up when searched in Bing, but shows up in Google and Safari. So Bing is kind of important. I know a lot of you might poo-poo it or be like, who cares about Bing? When you set up your site using search engine submission, which is something you can do from here, we are communicating with Bing on your behalf, and that could definitely help. But the other thing to do is to also set up a Bing business profile. So just like I showed you how to set up a Google business profile, you can actually get set up on Bing as well. So they call it Bing Places for Business. And all you're going to do is go and somewhere, let me see if I go to bing.com and start here. Bing Places for Business. Here we go. I guess this is your link. Bing.com/forbusiness. And you're just going to create a business profile for your client right from here. And the reason why Bing is viewed as a good option is because ChatGPT references Bing quite a bit in recommendations for local businesses. So by having information up to date on Bing, that is going to do a world of good when it comes to getting any sort of LLM recommendations. Something to ponder. And it's also something to charge your client a little bit extra for. All right. Let's get into the questions you guys are actively asking so I can make sure that we get everybody's questions answered. Okay. You're going to have to help me, Brian, on this first one. Does that offer to buy multiple items on package plans? Joe, you're the one who asked this question. You said, does that offer to buy multiple items on package plans? I'm sorry if we went off topic since you asked that question. If you wouldn't mind giving me more context, post it as a new question with all the details in there, and then my moderators will pass it on to me. As specific as you can. That goes for everybody. If you have a question, as specific as you can. You can reference an actual site you're working on if need be, whatever the case. Okay, Joe says, maybe the same question. I have a client that has desserts, but offers different ones in packages. Can they pick different flavors on that packages? We're talking about e-commerce and not an easy e-commerce question to answer. Is this an active client, Joe? Is this an active client or a prospect? So here's the deal. If this is, when I hear desserts, that makes me feel like their primary thing of existing online is it's a prospect. Okay. So when I hear about desserts online, I'm like, what type of business is selling desserts online? What type of business? Sounds retail. I'm worried that this is their primary purpose of a website is to sell desserts. So I would kind of back off a little bit on that because I don't know what I would suggest. It sounds like it might be some heavy lifting. Joe, if it's one of your first 6 or 10 sites, I would stay away from any e-commerce. That's kind of like a rule that I have. Oh, they sell through DoorDash? Well, then let them continue selling through DoorDash. You wrote DD, so I'm not sure what that means. I'm assuming DoorDash. I don't know. Retail locations sell through DD. But they sell local too. All right. I guess if you have all the details, I'm going to put it into a support ticket. We'll happily help you assess it and the likelihood that you can make them happy with a good solution. Okay. All right. Next up. Pam, can you explain the new URL redirects on SiteSwan? So Pam, this is actually not a new feature, but we've just moved it. So I can understand why you would think that, but it is in fact been around for quite some time. So URL rewrites is available from the settings dropdown. And what this will do is show you a screen where you can add a URL rewrite, which is designed to take a site that currently, a link that currently exists at this domain name and redirect it to a new page on the site. What scenario, why would you use this? Here's the primary purpose of it and why it was initially created. Let's say I'm taking over a website for littlesmilesdental.com. Let's pretend that's their domain name. And they're on a platform that has, all right, let's give the easiest example. They had separate pages for About Us and Contact Us, but they had so little content on both of those pages that the decision was made to combine them on the new website you created for them. So their URLs right now are littlesmilesdental.com/about and littlesmilesdental.com/contact. But you're only going to have a contact page. So now what happens when someone's Googling for this business and they see about come up in the results? They click about, it goes nowhere. It's a broken link. We don't want broken links. We want to be able to take whatever traffic might be going to any page of the old website and make sure that it gets redirected and pointed to the right place on a new website. So one of the things I would encourage you to do when you're taking over a site for someone, check out all the pages on the site. Are you creating new versions of those pages? And are they going to be spelled the exact same way? Because if they're not, you could benefit from setting up URL rewrites, which will redirect those URLs to the new versions of the pages on your site. So in the example I just showed you, I would put about, or whatever this could be. Maybe it's about us dash our business .php. I don't know. It could be something random, which you wouldn't even be able to recreate this on the platform. So they have this super weird or obscure URL, or it's a page that doesn't exist anymore. And you are simply going to point them to the Contact Us page on the site. And now anyone who will go to that old About Us page, once the domain is pointed over, instead of seeing nothing or garbage, they are going to be sent to the new version of that page on the new site. Other reasons why you might use this is if you have, it's mostly during transitions. If you have gotten rid of a page or a service that you're worried still people might have that URL somewhere, they might be looking for it, you can redirect that to the new version of the page on your site, stuff like that. It's not super, super common to set up after a site's launch. It's mostly upon a site launch when you're taking over a domain for an existing site. Next up, great question, Pamela. Next up is Jamie, who says, is there a checklist to give customers upon completion of a website or sale, such as where to advertise their website, connecting to socials, Google Business Profile, Yelp, etc.? Jamie, I don't hate this idea. A checklist to give customers upon completion of a website sale, where to advertise their website, connecting to socials, almost like you want to give them like a little marketing playbook of things that they could do. And I'll tell you why I really like this idea, Jamie, because by giving someone a marketing playbook of what to do, you basically now can create services for all of those recommendations, right? You can say, make sure you get your business profile set up on Google. Don't know how to do it, can't do it. Reach out to us. We do it for $199. Want to get whatever, want to do pay-per-click advertising on Google? Just go here and set up an account. Don't want to do it yourself? Have us do it. We charge blah, blah, blah per month. So I do like that, Jamie, as a way to be able to also encourage your client that that a website is, yes, it's the core of the marketing wheel, so to speak, but it is not the end all be all of all the advertising and marketing a business needs to do. They will always 100% benefit from continuing to talk about, market their business in any way, shape, or form, offline, online, etc., to get more people to come to the site naturally. And that's just only going to help your it's going to help your case. Your site's going to look even better when they do stuff like that. All right. Evie says, I've been struggling with getting prospects. Is a SMS software I can use to text? Evie, excuse me. Have you gone through the 14-day launch plan, Evie? When I hear you're having difficulty with getting prospects, it makes me think maybe you're not going through the 14-day launch plan. If you are, maybe you're going off script a little bit with what we say to do. The 14-day launch plan does talk about SMS, but it's really one-off SMS, like one person to another. Like I'm going to message my warm contact list, like the people who are in my contacts on my phone, people who I know and associate with or have met before. But we don't really call for any sort of like mass SMS texting that would require a software necessarily to use. She follows it up saying, I've been struggling with getting, I have a prospect that already has a website, but she wants kind of similar website with color and menus. How can I do one that is similar or clone the website? So what I would recommend doing, Eva, is send us a note and a support ticket and show us the site. We'll tell you right off the bat, yeah, you could totally do something just like this. Or we might say, are they nuts? This is hideous. Or we'll say, you know what? It's going to be super hard to do this on our platform. I'm not sure if you even want to. We will give you honest advice on that to make sure that you don't get yourself into something you can't really help someone succeed with. In my personal experience, I've had people ask, what can you do a site for me that looks exactly like my existing site? And I look at the site and I'm like, why the heck would you want a site that looks like this? But I say, yeah, sure, because I know it's just dog poop and I could do better with one of our themes. So yeah, sure. And then what I do is for the website presentation, I come to them, I say, listen, I know you were talking about getting a site exactly what you have now. And I'll be honest with you, I did a ton of research about the industry. I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I want to show you something that's going to, diverge a little bit from what you have now, but I think it's for the better, and let me show you why. So when you're doing a homepage presentation, as outlined in lesson 9 of our training program, we encourage you to state exactly why each element of the site is the way it is. And when you can define the reason for why things are on the site the way they are, you will notice that your client won't ask for changes because you're justifying everything. And so long as you use their logo or colors from their site that kind of align and match, and it'll truly look like a much better, more updated version of their site, which they'll be perfectly happy with and be glad you didn't take their stupid advice to use what they have now. Pamela, you still struggling with the URL rewrite? I can't even say that word sometimes. My mouth is like in slow motion today. URL rewrite. So what this will do is it'll take any URL that is on the client's domain, and it will forward a redirect to any page on the site. So it'll take any URL. So that means anything after the slash. So pretend for a second this says littlesmilesdental.com. Okay, you've already assigned the domain name, littlesmilesdental.com. And you found that they have some gobbledygook URL on their old site or a page that's going away on the new site. You're going to type in what that is, that page link. And then you're going to put where you want people, if they were to find that link somewhere in the wild, or they bookmarked it by some miracle, if they went to that page, they would get redirected to the page you want them to see now on the new site. So it's great from going from old site to new site. Okay. So this is a fun question. Mike says, I had a nightmare of a demo call last week. On the demo call, he told me my prices aren't worth what I charge. Okay. And he said he can just do it himself as a DIY. And he told me to make the site without providing a card first. Wait, to make the site without providing a card. Okay. As a business owner, I can deny service to someone like this, right? 100,000,000%. Yes, you have no obligation to work with anybody. You're in charge. You get to choose who and what you work with. So do not feel the obligation to work with anyone just because you did a demo for them or they say they want to work with you. You do not have to actually do it. And by the way, that's one of the objections I love hearing. Oh, I could do this myself. Or I could I don't need your help. I can build my own site. Okay, great. That's fantastic. Hey, question for you. Why haven't you already? And watch what happens. Watch the answers you get. And just talk themselves into a corner. All right. Evi says, the prospect I have that has the website cannot get the domain information like DNS for me to set up the same domain name. What should I do? What do you mean can't? There is usually always a way. But I guess it's possible you can, but it's kind of hard. So, Evi, so just so you know, there's a couple things you could do to kind of help with the client. I actually have a video on this, but I'll talk you through it. First thing is go to whois.com and you type in the domain name up here, not in this box, up here next to who is. And this will tell you where the domain is registered 9 times out of 10. So if it's with GoDaddy or if it's whatever, whoever it might be with, Google Domains, whatever, you'll be able to see that information and then be able to at least call them and say, hey, I got a domain name with you guys. I don't know how to log into the account. Can you lend a hand? And they usually can. Now, in the off chance, something extraneous circumstances, like, for example, the guy who had this account has since passed away. I've heard that story before. And no one can retrieve any access to his email or log into his account for that reason. You can actually provide a death certificate to the company with the domain name and gain access to, as long as you prove in some way, shape, or form that you own that business or have the right to that domain name. And then they'll hand the keys over and then you can access this. There's almost, And the domain is almost never lost for good. There's always a way to get it back. But in the interest of getting things moving along, unless they have an amazing domain name with amazing search results already, you probably would not be in a bad place if you just went to cheap and easy domains and you found them a new domain name that was perhaps very similar to their old domain name. And then just, it'd be helpful if I spelled things correctly. And then all you have to do is just point the new domain name, get them launched. You can start charging them. And then when and if you get access to the original domain name, then you can always revert back to that one. But in the immediate time to get things moving, to get them starting to find results, buy a domain name that's similar to what they had before for them, set up the site using that domain name, and then you can go to town from there. What else we got? So I'm going to just show you a couple things too on the platform that are new since you guys are here. I want to reward you for being present. So a couple of cool things that have popped up. I'll show you one example. If, let's just say, let's say that I wanted to link something on the homepage to, let's say, this post, Fudgelicious Handmade Fudge. I don't want to just go to the Order Online page. I want to go to the Order Online page and then scroll them down to this section. There's always been a way to do it, but it's been like, tap into code and all sorts of stuff. So I want to show you a really cool way that you can do this right now without that stuff. So let me go and demonstrate. So if I wanted to, let me just show you an example here. If I wanted to go to, all right, there's a perfect example. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend this, but let's just say, if I want to go to this form from this button, right now, it just simply goes to the contact page, but no. I want it to go down to here. So let me show you how to do that because you have a built-in feature now for that. I'm going to click on edit. I'm going to go to my button and click edit. And then from my different link type options, I'm going to select the option to section of a page. And when I do that, I'm going to first select the page, which is contact us. I'm going to secondarily select the section, which is the email form section called get in touch. So once I do this, I click OK and then save. And now if I click this button, it takes me right to the form on this page. Pretty cool, right? You can use this throughout the platform. I don't see this coming up on the regular, but shoot, the times it does come up, this makes your life so much easier. So definitely check that out. Want to see something else that's pretty cool? Let me show you. So in addition to this button feature, we're like all about button features this month. What is this here? Animation? What shall we do with this animation? Well, check this out. We got two cute little animations you can do now. One is going to make you button dance. Isn't that cute? And it's going to be every 4 seconds. It's going to bring a little life to the site. And then, of course, you can also choose the second option. Right now, there's only two. We have more to come, called Pulse, which is just going to slowly zoom in and zoom out on the button, which just prompts people to click perhaps a little bit better than, obviously, no animation. We have a theme that we are just getting ready to release, which will be the first theme with this feature already added to it. But of course, you can go into any of your sites and add this animation to any button. It does have to be added on a one-off basis. We don't automatically turn these on, nor can you for all of the buttons on a site, because you really don't want to be kind of screaming at people, click me, 100 times. You should only really probably have 1 or 2 per page, and usually they're the same actions. Like you just want people to schedule an appointment, like just do it. So the dance or the pulse are really cool options to do that. All right, let me get out of here so that's okay. That's safe. So those are 2 new fun things that we rolled out this week. And do I have something else to show you? Let me see. Dun, 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 dun. By the way, whenever you need to, we have updates and releases listed on our website, so you can always check that out whenever you need to. We actually did something also almost a month ago that's increasing the responsive loading times on sites. We've optimized our data transfer and also image quality on small and large screens. So that's going to allow you all to be able to see your sites load a tiny bit faster, which any increase certainly is an improvement. And you can check out the updates and releases over here. Just go to resources on our site, updates and releases, and you can check it all out. We will be talking about the dancing buttons today. See, we didn't get a chance to post this yet. That's how new it is. It just got released this morning. So that's what we got going on. All right, let me do this. Let me ask you why. I do see that a couple more people are posting questions, which I am more than happy to address. But you know what? Let me just. All right, just a couple of questions on this. Hold on. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, let me just see if I can answer a couple of these. Bear with me. Okay, Mike's saying the preschool I'm working with are changing their name. They haven't made the switch yet. I made the site under the new name since the site is now live under the new name. Do you recommend changing the name everywhere now, like on social media, Google Business Profile, etc.? If they're actively changing their name but haven't changed it yet, I would wait and coordinate that with them. So, like, hey, when are you going to officially make the change? When are you putting the new sign up? When are you, going to start referring to yourself? Pick up the phone as the new business, and then do it as close as possible to the same day, perhaps a couple days before if you want to get ahead of it. All right. Joe says, how do I add a chatbot? So chatbots, we do have some resource recommendations for this on the resources section of the dashboard. Scroll down to the marketplace. And in the marketplace, you are going to see several different options where you can do something like this. The two that jump out at me are going to be chatbot, live chat, sorry, third one, and fresh chat, all of which offer that kind of functionality, which you should absolutely 100% charge extra for. We also have an article that specifically talks about exactly how to do this, and you can find it in the support.siteswan.com, how to add a live chat or chatbot to a SiteSwan website. Okay, have even more options over here if you want to check it out. How to add a live chat or chatbot to a SiteSwan website. Andre says, does the button animation only work on hover? No, it's constant. It's not on hover. We're thinking about other hover options, but this is not a hover option. This is just a constant animation. Mike is saying, is the tap to call feature automatically included on our sites, or do we have to add it? So we also have an article on this as well. If you guys are interested in tap to call, all you have to do is search tap to call. So what happens, the short of it is this. You have an option to link a button as tap to call. Technically on this is okay, let me go back. If you put the phone number on the site, almost every browser that's on a mobile device is going to recognize it's a phone number and allow you to tap it. But if you have a button that says call us, there's no way that the browser can possibly know what they should link that to. So that's when you use our built-in tap to call feature, which will allow you to physically assign a phone number to a button so that when people click it on mobile, they will go right to that number, regardless if it says the phone number on the button or not. Okay, I know Pam says website chat. Another chat. How much do you charge for chat? So I would recommend looking at what the vendor is charging and then going up from there. At least doubling it is usually a good way to go. I personally believe that having a chat widget on a site is worth easily $75 a month, easily. Kevin, please submit that feature request on support.siteswan.com. Just submit a request right up here. We take all feature requests through there, and we love getting them. All right, what I would love to do for you right now is I'm going to try and answer this question while I'm doing this. But I'd like you all to go into the questions tab and just do me a favor and tell me one thing from today's discussion that you took away as something that's going to be helpful to you. We use this feedback as a way to make sure that the stuff that we cover on these sessions is super, super helpful to you. So one thing that was helpful to you, you heard someone ask, you heard an answer, you saw something, it made you think something, you realized something, you heard inspiration from someone, anything and everything, just please post it here so that we know what we can focus on to get you guys in a better situation. While you're doing that, I'm going to quickly answer a question from B More. Is there a way to have a better blog system where you can draft and schedule the blogs or articles? No, not yet. We're actually using the exact same functionality you are on our blog because SiteSwan is built on SiteSwan. So I guess it might take a little getting used to in terms of like adding a post over here and then the actual article gets its own page, but it works really well. It works really, really well. And these are very search optimized and they kick butt. I could tell you that. All right, some feedback I'm getting is that Christy finds the URL rewrites very helpful. I'm glad. Joe finds the SEO feedback, but missed how to get ranked quickly. So we have an article there for you that you can look at. It's both for SEO as well as the Google Business Profile. Andre likes the link to section and the animated buttons. Glad to see that. Pamela appreciates knowing how to do chat on websites. Kevin says the anchor link feature is much easier now. Indeed. Mike agrees with that. Michael says linking the reservation tabs to the motel sites and adding chat boxes. And Joe agrees that URL redirect sounds like it could be helpful in certain situations. I'd agree with that 100%. So a little about what's coming up next. So next week, I should have a graphic for this, but I don't. I should have something on the screen for this, but I don't. Next week, we are doing something on Wednesday, which is going to be at same time, 1 o'clock Eastern. And we are going to be focusing on how to sell a website at your next holiday gathering. I have some really good tips and personal experience regarding this, mostly about how to have casual conversations about web design and actually be able to win over a prospect that is perhaps already in your warm network or is fresh to your warm network at a family or friend gathering without sounding like a sleazy salesperson who is just trying to steal money from everybody. There is a craft to it, and I have a whole framework. I have a script of what to say. I have some things I'd like you all to consider. So as soon as you get this invite, I would love for you to sign up for it because I'm putting a lot of personal stories and experience into this. And I think hopefully if you use what I tell you between the 21st, what date is that? The 19th, is it? Yeah. If you use what I tell you between the 19th and Thanksgiving, I think you will be able to, at your family gathering, be able to feel a lot more confident about speaking about your web design business and making a connection, possibly getting a win from that without, again, asking for money from family and friends at the dinner table. All right. I do have some really good tips for you. Cool. All right, guys. I appreciate so much that you all took time to be here with me today. There's not a lot of you, but it shows me you guys are the devoted bunch who are committed to making your business more successful. Today's Thursday. You have the rest of today to go out, utilize the 14-day launch plan. Let's get some deals coming in. Tomorrow is a Friday. I want you to use your Friday to make the most of the middle of November here. November and December are typically fantastic months to close deals. You've got clients who are, a lot of them are actually getting a break from craziness because people's attention has been focused to buying and stuff like that for the holidays, decorating. So you have a lot of businesses who can speak about a website during this time of year, trying to get themselves ready for Q1, for the beginning of 2026. So do not sleep on this time of year. Go out, find some deals, close some sales. It's a great, great, great time of month to do so. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to see anything from the beginning, a recording is going to play when I hit this button, and I'll see you later.